Hi, I'm John Waterhouse, and this is the original Science of Mind as taught by the Reverend Dr. Barbara Waterhouse. She's coming to the close of this class. There's just a little bit more to do, but tonight is an ongoing class, and Science of Mind is the topic, and Barbara will share her wisdom and the wisdom of our teaching with you. To get class started, as we always do, we do a spiritual mind treatment, and I'm going to do it with you this evening. So if you'd like, just join me in knowing the truth that there is only one presence and one power in all that is. And with that present right where we are, we have that access to the creative forces of the universe. It dwells within us. It is all around us. And I know that this class, studying the science of mind, opens up new possibilities and potentials for the use of that extraordinary power to create the lives that we have come to live. And I know that each one who joins in this journey is blessed. I know that there is a revelation of truth deep within each of us that bubbles up into our conscious awareness, and all is well. So I know that this time is blessed. It is full and rich and provides things that we can use every day of our lives. And certain that this is so, and seeing the great value of this, I simply let it be so. Right here, right now, and always. For this is the truth of spirit in gratitude and love. And so it is. Have a great class. I'll see you at the end.
I love this lesson, and it's a very short lesson compared to the other ones because we're talking about things that are mystical, that are outside of the realm of things that are easy to talk about. So this is about the perfect whole, and what he talks about is that it's not on the outside, it's on the inside. The answer to every question is within you. The solution to every problem is within you. Heaven is within you. He even takes it to the point of raising the dead is within you. So don't look at anything that is outside of you, and if it appears to be outside of you, you took it from within you and put it outside. So if there is any sense of any kind of limitation in your life, you put it there. And if you put it there, you can change it, you can shift it, you can put something else there. Because we live in a reflective and vibrational universe. It reflects back to us whatever it is that is going on within us. And what's going on within us? Everything. Everything is going on within us. Everything is going on inside of us. It's a vibrational universe because it is vibrating. It is not solid. It is made up of waves and quarks and particles, and the illusion is that this is all solid and stable. It is far from that. It is constantly changing. And so if we want our lives to change into something else, we take it from within us and put it on the outside. He says, the thing that we look with is the thing that we have been looking for. And I think an easier way to say that is that which you are looking for, you are looking with, and you are looking at. So if you are looking for freedom, well, you are looking for freedom from freedom. There's not a freedom on the outside and no freedom on the inside. That would be a universe that was missing something. It would be the entire universe of freedom, except at the point of Barbara, there's no freedom inside of her. So there's a place where something doesn't exist. Now remember back to the beginning of the class, what happens to the absolute if you've got a hole in it?
Not absolute.
It's not absolute. How can you have a oneness if it's all one except for this little hole where there's no freedom in Barbara? Then you have a universe that will not hang together. Then you have all of time and space and life as we know it is gone. So if I am looking for freedom on the outside, I have to find the freedom that already exists. And that's an important piece. It's not that I have to make freedom within me. It's not that I have to shove freedom inside so that I can pull it out and hand it over to my life and have it appear in time and space. It is that I need to find the freedom that already is. And where is that freedom? If it's not showing up in my reflection of life here in my time-space continuum, if it's not showing up here, which is why I'm looking for freedom to begin with, because I don't see it in my life, it's already here. And so what I want to do is to bring that freedom that already is forth into my life. And the way that I do that is to realize that it's already here. Even if it hasn't reflected in time and space, I make sure that it's there vibrationally. We live in a vibrational and reflective universe. So vibrationally it has to be there, and I don't have to make it. I don't have to create it. Remember we had the conversation about how we used to be Center for Creative Living, and every time we get to the part in the textbook where Ernest says we don't create, man never creates. He discovers and uses. Well, what's up with that, Barbara? You're Center for Creative Living. You use the teachings of Ernest Holmes, and Ernest says you never create. So we don't have to have that conversation anymore. Now we are Center for Spiritual Living. But we don't have to create it. We don't have to make it. All we have to do is find it inside of ourselves. And if we are looking for it, we already have it. You can't look for something that you don't already have. Otherwise, you've got a spot that you're looking for something that doesn't exist. There's a hole in the universe. We're not one anymore. Everything falls apart. Yes, Joe.
If we have a desire for something, is that because part of us knows that it exists, and we're saying, oh, well, where is it?
Yes. And the more that there's tension around that desire, I think the closer it is.
So part of us knows that it exists. I'm free, freedom is who I am. And then another part of me doesn't see it.
Right.
And there's that.
The tension between them is the creative process. And for me, the bigger the tension, before I really go to, I've got it, the closer it is. So when things feel like they're just not happening, I know they're close. Otherwise, they wouldn't be bouncing around in my consciousness, causing that other part of me to go, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I want it, I want it, I want it. You can only want it because it's there. That which you are looking for, you are looking with, you are looking at. Drew.
Scientifically, the closer particles get, the more vibrationally excited they become. The
Really?
same,
Oh, I didn't know that.
and they vibrate, then they,
Yeah, then they're all good. Because they're close and they're excited. It is the creative process. So this lesson is all about, it's called a perfect whole. That whatever's on the outside is on the inside. And whatever's on the inside is on the outside. So there's nothing that happens to you out of the blue. You don't catch anything from someone else. No one can take anything away from you. No one can give you anything. Yes, Michaela?
So there's no such thing as a coincidence.
You're absolutely correct. The child is brilliant.
Yeah.
There is no coincidence. There are no victims. I love the phrase, there are no victims, only volunteers. We are all stepping up into our lives individually and collectively. Nothing ever happens to us because there's no outside for it to happen from. Everything always goes from the inside out, but because we live in a time-space continuum, it sure looks like it's happening from the outside, but for it to happen from the outside, we must have first put it into our lives by first being vibrationally at that place, and then having time and space reflect that vibration into form. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So whenever you feel, because I know you're all meditating and doing your spiritual practice in the morning, whenever you feel that love, do you know that love? Whenever you feel that love, it came from inside of you. Whenever you feel that, and I'll get a little wooey on you, whenever you feel that grace, it comes from inside of you. And very often people get mixed up and they think that it's coming from outside of them. But it can't be on the outside unless you first put it there. That's why people go, oh, I love this person. Not really. You love, and that person is here. And that's really what's going on. You're loving in the presence of this person. So when people come to me and they go, oh, they left me, I'll never feel that love again. Well, that was your love. That wasn't their love, so they can't take it. When you're angry, no one made you angry. You were angry around that person. They didn't make you angry. That was your anger. It's your love. It's your physical state. It's your way of seeing the world. You know, it only means what you make it means. The stories that we create in our head, we plant in our life, and then we reap the harvest of that planting. So we can take anything and turn it in either the world's greatest blessing or the world's greatest tragedy. And I mean, people can take things that I would say are very, very small and turn them into a tragedy. And people can live with a lot of things that people would not call blessings and feel like they are deeply blessed. So which life would you rather have? The one with all the outer trappings and the person has made themselves miserable? Or the one that doesn't have much on the outer trappings at all, but the person is joyous? I'd rather have the joyous life. And we know that if you don't have the joy, even though you have the outer trappings, you're going to lose those. And that if you do have joy, greater and greater things will come into your experience. Because we know that whatever it is we focus upon, we grow in our lives. That's why gratitude is such a good idea, because we literally plant that into our lives and then reap the harvest of that, because we put it in there. That's why there's no such thing as luck. There's no such thing as coincidences. There's none of that stuff. It's all from the inner to the outer, and the outer to the inner. It's like the circle of life, and the Lion King sings. You know, it's the perfect whole. What else does he have in this? I didn't have any paper when I went through getting ready for class, so I just wrote in my book. You found the diagram confusing? I love this diagram.
Well, when he went down for God, the Father, and
Yeah, I don't read any of that.
It's like
just read the top. Okay. This is the circle that does not have the V. This is the whole, the perfect whole. So he says it's the triune unity, which would be in his world spirit, soul, and body. For us, it'd be spirit, law, and body. The indivisible whole. You can't cut it up. You can't take a piece of a negative. You're not a piece of a negative. You're not a drop of the ocean. It is a perfect whole. It is the whole. And then he says some wonderful things that I love. Within which is all of its parts. It is the whole which contains all of the parts. It is the absolute within which is the relative. The absolute is bigger than the relative. The absolute contains the relative. It is the uncreated within which is the created. So, remember John talked about pantheism and panentheism? If you say that God is the table and God is the the trees and the sky, then that is just that which has been created. And what Ernest says is that it's the uncreated that has within it that which is created, but the uncreated is bigger than that which is created. Does that make sense? So God is everything, but God is more than everything. And how does that work? I don't know. I don't know, but I know that thing is a limited idea, and that which is unlimited can only contain the thing. It cannot be contained by the thing. Thing is not bigger than that which made thing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I'm trying to make it in simple English. But some of this is really beautiful. The changeless within which is all change.
What page are you on? I'm sorry.
Page 217. The
Okay.
changeless within which is all change. So how can you say that spirit is unchanging when I see change all around me? Because spirit is not limited to this plane of perception. It contains it, but it's not limited to it. Well, here we have the circle. And we would have cut it up into thirds and put the descent of the creation of spirit into form, but instead we're just going to have, this is the unchanging, and this is change. Change doesn't dominate the changeless, right? So of course there's change, but that's only a little tiny part of it. There's this giant thing that never changes. That's why we want to go from the relative, which is all the changes in life, to the absolute, which is that which never changes. I don't care how mad somebody is, love is the only reality. I don't care what's happening with somebody's finances. Prosperity is all that there is. I don't care what the doctor says you have, health is an eternal truth. I don't care if your friend dropped their body and everybody says they're dead, life is eternal. The changeless holds that which changes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's all the perfect whole. The formless, within which is all form. The limitless, within which is all space. And if you have space, you have to have time. The timeless, within which is all time. So what's all this now, this eternal now, and yet the clock goes click, click, click. It's the timeless that holds time. It's the limitless that holds the limitations of space. And this is where some people have trouble with this teaching, because if all you can see in life is the relative, that which is created, things changing, form, space, time, if that's all you see in life, then you have trouble stepping back to get the idea that there's something bigger than space and time and form and that which is created. There's something that, yes, it is that, but Barbara, you said that spirit was this table. Yes, it is, but spirit is not limited to that table. Just because that's all you see doesn't mean that you take the infinite and shrink it down to a table. And that's why this teaching is very appealing to people who are highly intuitive, because that's an intuitive leap, to look around and say, I see it and I'll deal with it. I'll put gas in my car and go grocery shopping and deal with the relative aspect of life, but this is not it. I can feel this greater reality. I can feel this presence of spirit. I can feel other dimensions right here in this room. Don't you know this room is packed with beings? It's packed with beings. But I can't see it. But I know that they're here. I can feel them. I can intuit them. I can imagine this idea of an infinite, absolute, creative something that has created all of time and space out of itself, but like in the Declaration of Principles, it is not absorbed by its creation. That means that the creation didn't make itself bigger than that which created it. The creator is always bigger than the creation. That's why when you have something in your life that you have created, you as the creator are bigger. You are the boss of your creations. You put them there. You don't like them? Pull them out, move them, put something else in there. The creator is always bigger than the creation. And so I can intuit and sense this greater reality. And when I start to go there, it's like, well, it's not only greater than this time-space continuum, but I feel like there's all kinds of time-space continuums going on right here and right now, right here. Like there are other us's right here. And then it starts to get kind of wooey-wooey, and people who are very focused on the relative aspect of life, they say, you're all crazy, I'm out of here. And that's why I think that things like Christianity hold such a large appeal, because they have things you can touch. I mean, we don't give you stuff you can touch. You can't grab your crucifix. We don't give you communion. You're not drinking the blood. We don't do that. We say there is a reality going on that supersedes and transcends this physical reality. It is the higher truth of you. And that if you can let go of the idea of whatever limitation or frustration may be going on in your life and move into that higher truth, then you will automatically change the experience. Transcendence transmutes. It does not rectify. You're not fixing it. You're not working it out. You're not buying a used car here with the universe. You're transcending, rising up into the level of the absolute and watching everything shift to where things work out that were never going to work out. Money shows up out of the blue. The death sentence of the diagnosis changes to where they can't find a cancer cell in your entire body. It transmutes it. It changes the essence and the nature of that which you thought was solid into something else. Transcendence transmutes. It doesn't rectify. That was Sri Aurobindo, and that is a very intuitive, Hinduism is a very intuitive philosophy. I mean, they do the whole yoga thing, but that's not it. It's all about the oneness and the connectedness. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Tom?
Well, I never had trouble becoming one with the oneness and timelessness. Then my question was, well, why do I come back into my ego? And it was the Hindu thing that kind of solved that for me. It was because, I'll give my power away to you so we can play a game and, beat the boredom.
And what?
Beat the boredom, be entertained.
Beat the boredom. Right. And I think that being on planet Earth is cool.
Yeah, it's
You know,
entertaining.
I don't know in other dimensions, do you get taste?
Really?
I like taste. I like sight, colors, I like sound, I like touch. And so if we're on a more subtle physical plane that's more energetic than solid, do we only get these experiences on planet Earth? Well, let's enjoy them. So if chocolate is one of the bennies of being in physical form, let's enjoy it. Let's not deny ourselves. That's why Ernest wrote that poem in the beginning of the book where it says, come sit where the sunbeams dance in the light. The table is spread for you. All is yours. Life has set the table for you. Life has set it all out for you. Your job is to partake of it, to enjoy it, to experience it. So, the universal within which is the individual, the one person within whom are all people. That's interesting. We are all people, but really, are we all people or are we one? Are we one person with many faces? It's a very intuitive teaching. You've got to kind of grok, step back.
Robert Heinlein was on to
Really. Source and center of all life, power, and action, truth, love, mind, spirit, the ever and the all. As soon as he gets all biblical, just forget it. That's the time that he was working the country was very biblically oriented. That was in the vernacular, that's the way people spoke, and that was his personal raising. That he was raised with all of that, so that's just the way he thought. If you don't like it, just let it go, translate it, doesn't matter.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I was trying to figure it out, and it didn't make sense.
Jane,
So if you're angry at something, and you feel yourself getting squashed by the anger, there's a way you can move into another plane where everything is larger than
sure, you can do that.
the anger that.
You can do that, and one of the ways that you might want to do that is, I created this anger.
Mhm.
That which I created cannot kill me, cannot squash me. I'm bigger than the anger. One of the things is I have a body, but I'm not my body. I have emotions, but I'm not my emotions. I have a mind, but I'm not my mind. You know, I have a job, but I'm not my job. Let's make it a little more clear. I have a gender, but I'm not my gender. You know, people still come in here and go, hey, little lady, is the pastor in? I have a gender, but I'm not my gender. Jane, you have anger, but you're not your anger.
So therefore, the creator is always bigger than
The creator is always bigger than the creation, and I created it, so I can create something else. I can create happiness and peace and joy and love.
even though someone else says,
There is no someone else.
yeah,
Yeah.
somebody's actions have been, made you angry.
No one makes you angry. You've got free-floating anger. Some innocent person walks by, and you take that anger and you throw it at them, and then you have an excuse to get angry. Nobody made you angry. You don't need to stay angry. You can just go experience something else. Tony Robbins calls it doing. I'm doing anger.
Oh, yeah.
I'm doing anger. How you doing? I'm doing frustration. I'm doing anger. I'm doing joy. I'm doing bliss. I'm doing happiness. You're doing it. You chose it. You're doing it. You're running a number on yourself. Drew.
When you were saying that before, I was reminded of a class we did. You don't have a soul. You are a soul. You have a
Right.
body.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Yeah. You're not a body with a soul. You're a soul with a body. Yeah. And when the body stops, the soul will go on and perhaps create many more bodies. Ernest says we have a body within a body within a body to infinity. I don't know. It's just his way of saying there is that within you that is infinite. And if there is that within us that is infinite, then we have to be the entire infinity at the point of us now, which he has trouble with. And I think that if he was alive today, he would have worked out a lot of this stuff. But he wants to see it as a limited idea, as if I am only my body. You know, translating that to a thimble full of water from the ocean. When it's removed from the ocean, it no longer is the ocean, but we're never removed. And in his words, we have a body within a body within a body throughout infinity. Isn't that cool?
That's the little grammar.
Yeah. Can you feel how you're using more of your intuition to grasp this? Good, good. One of my favorite quotes of this is on the top of page 223. He says, "Such is the power of clear thought, that it penetrates things. It removes obstructions. The reason being that there is nothing but consciousness, nothing but mind." And so what he says is that if you want to remove an obstruction, you use the power of clear thought. Everything is resolved in mind. If you go out there and start shoveling rocks into the creek bank because you're dealing at the level of effect, it's never going to happen. You resolve it in the realm of mind. You know that it's done. And then through spiritual law, all of these pieces come together in concert and harmony in ways that we've never even imagined, to come together and to materialize, to come into physical form, to manifest as that completed healing, that completed health and wholeness, the same way that the physical body does, the same way that organs can regenerate just like that, The same way that the impossible is possible. You resolve it in mind and then allow the spiritual law of the universe to manifest in form. Don't go chasing your money. Don't go chasing your money. Sit still and embrace that idea. Open up to that idea that you always have more than enough, and then watch the money find you. That doesn't mean you don't get up and go to work. People have said, oh, I charged up $40,000 on my credit card and quit my job because you told me to be prosperous. That's not prosperity. You create it in mind, and then it will find you. Otherwise, you spend a lot of time getting 2 and 3 jobs, chasing after money, manifesting a lot of fear, and you could have spent that time more wisely, resolving it in mind, raising the energy, having a vibrational frequency that is more in tune with prosperity and abundance, and watching that reflect back to you in physical form. And that's true whether it's money or physical health. People who get up in the morning and tell themselves that they're sick, that's what they're creating. They're just creating the sickness. Susan.
I took something off of Facebook. The soul always knows what to do to heal itself. The challenge is to silence the mind. Does that mesh with this, or the soul always knows what to do to heal itself, but maybe it doesn't need healing because it is perfect health?
Right, the soul is never sick.
Right.
So I think what that post is trying to say is there is an aspect of you that knows exactly what to do to manifest health and wholeness in your life. You need to shut up
Yes.
and stop complaining and criticizing
Figuring it out.
and trying to focus on the limitation, trying to tell everybody when you're figuring it out. This is the reconciled part. You're not transcending because you're trying to figure it out. I've got this problem, I've got this disease, I need to figure out something, and all you're doing is putting energy into the idea that you've got disease. So I'm sure that that's what they meant to say. If they tune into this class, they will
I love it, I love it.
He talks about the Christ, that it's not the eternal begatting their only son, its only son. It is the only son is continually being begotten. So Meister Eckhart said the eternal is forever begatting the only begotten. And it's begatting it in you and in me right now. So instead of there just being one, there's an eternal process of creation of that Christ energy, that Christ consciousness. And rather than having the idea of the Christ be stuck to a guy named Jesus, who may or may not have lived 2,000 years ago, instead of having that going on, there's an idea that there's an energy of spiritual birth that is constantly happening, and that's happening in each and every one of us. So that Christ consciousness, that sonship, is an experience of oneness. And this lesson is very, very mystical. We talked about that last week, that it's very mystical. And he goes on to say that each person partakes of the Christ nature to the degree that the Christ is revealed to them, or that they open up to it. So however much you open up to the idea that you are a manifestation of spirit, that you are a spiritual being, that's how much spiritual beingness you get to experience. Not how much you have, but how much you get to experience. You know, the water pressure in the lines is really big. And if I open up the faucet just a trickle, that's all we're going to get. That's not the amount of water that there is. That's how much we've opened up to it. If we open it up really big, if they go up and open up the hydrant that we paid for out on the corner there, if they open up that hydrant, there will be a huge amount of water come out. The water was always there. Your spirituality, your divinity, in this section, your Christ sonship, he calls it. That's always there. Your connection with spirit is always there. It's just how much are you going to open up to it? How much are you gonna let come through you? And then you take that and you plant it in your life, and then it grows forth into fruition, and you get to pick the harvest. And people go, wow, what a great life you have, you're so lucky. Oh, good things just happen to you. No, I put that there, I did that. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Good. Jane?
Well, if you got this mood of anger,
Work it, Jane.
the thing is, maybe the first step would be to accept what has happened. And instead of struggling against it, and then maybe that is going to enable you to.
What do you mean accept what has happened? What does that mean? Then to give reality to your made-up story that somebody did something that made you angry? No, that's a lie. That's a lie that you are telling yourself. Nobody ever made you angry. Now you can accept the fact that you are doing anger, that you've created an experience so that you can be angry, and you're just gonna go ahead and be angry. So if you're gonna do that, I would encourage you to go for it. Yell, scream, kick, pound, let it out. Because you obviously had some anger that was waiting for somebody to walk by, and then you took it and threw it at them and made up a story that they made you angry. That's not what happened. So let it out. Be angry. You want to be angry? Be angry. You may not have any idea what you're angry about. You don't have to have a reason. You want to be angry? Go for it. Yell, scream, jump up and down. I found that very satisfactory. If you're going to be angry, don't be timid about it. Go ahead and get really angry. Because you had some anger, then you targeted some innocent person walking down the street, and now you're in this whole thing with them. Take your anger back and then just let it go. And next time around, you may not have nearly as much anger to throw at someone.
Well, I think that the thing of it is, if you struggle with the anger, that
Sure, so let it out. But it doesn't have anything to do with that person. That person didn't make you angry.
well, actually, that person did.
No. You told yourself that that person made you angry. You were already angry.
No, that's.
Yeah, you really were. You were already angry. So if you're going around with anger, just go ahead and yell and scream and get it out.
Well, yeah, well, it wouldn't work because with the anger that I have, it was caused by somebody else.
That was a long time ago, Jane. That anger's over. You have anger that you've pinned on that somebody else. It's okay to be angry. Don't be afraid of your emotions.
I know I can be angry, but I'm just thinking that it's not, basically, if I just accept that I'm angry, then I can move to a higher,
Sure, so accept that you're angry.
yeah.
But go ahead and try to get some of that out, because it's kind of stuffed down in your belly there.
Well, it was okay until
Till it started to come up,
until.
because you're hanging out in some bliss and some love and some light, and it's washing some of that old stuff out. This is true for everybody. So if some of the fear comes up, some of the anger comes up, like Jane says, you don't have to fight it. Don't make yourself wrong for it. Either transcend it immediately, and if that doesn't work, let it out. Let it out and move on. It's old anger. It came to pass and not to stay. You're walking through the valley of the shadow of death. Don't build a condo. Because like Louise Hay says, you take that and you put it in your shoulder. I know you've had shoulder issues. I think you had surgery on one shoulder. You
No,
put
I
it in
haven't.
your, what?
I didn't have surgery on my shoulder.
What'd you have surgery on?
My knee.
So you put it in your knees, you know, it keeps you from moving forward in life. You take that anger and you put it somewhere in your body. People who have had body work, give body work, you know, you can get someplace on somebody's body and all of a sudden all this stuff starts coming out because they put that stuff in that point. So if you're going around holding all this anger all the time, you might as well figure out how to let it go. And if you can't just ohm it away in sweetness and light, then go ahead and yell it.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Well, my anger is very specific because I was happy until, and I don't want to talk around it as my brother.
This was your trip to Rhode Island?
Yeah,
Okay, so family dynamics got triggered off
yeah.
with seeing, so just go ahead and get mad, Jane, let it go and be happy again. I mean,
Well, the thing of it is
no, that is the thing of it that is.
if I get angry, if I get angry at my brother, he's gonna come after me for a lot of money, which I won from him in the courts.
So
10 years
just put a
ago.
pillow on a chair,
Huh?
just put a pillow on a chair and pretend it's your brother.
I'd like to take my brother and put him on a chair.
There's always an effect to a cause.
You got some anger going on.
So, don't be surprised if as you're transcending and transmuting and hanging out in the bliss and moving up into the absolute, that it's like that bucket of mud that we talked about last week, and you put the hose in and it cleans it out, but what happens when it starts cleaning out? Mud comes up and over. And then you're all, oh, I didn't know I was gonna get dirty. You're already dirty. You're already dirty. You've already got this stuff. If it's coming up, let it come up and go out. That's all. So if you can move, if you can shift it energetically, and if you can realize this is just old stuff that's coming up, being triggered off from all of the wonderful things that are happening, that's great. If you can't, do whatever you need to get it out. If you have fear, just notice that this is old fear. Are you going to keep living with that fear? Are you going to let it run you into the ground? Or are you going to stand up to it, move through it, take it on? It's old anger. Are you going to be afraid of being angry? I know the women in the room were usually raised with this idea that you don't make sounds. You don't say anything. You don't yell. You don't get angry. So I, at an early age became very proficient at being loud. And it has served me well. Get loud, yell and scream. Just let it out. It's inside of you, so you want to get it out. It's coming up and out. Is that enough therapy for tonight?
Yeah, I think so. Humanistically speaking.
It is so true, going through this and learning this, and it's that, well, I equate it as my emotional rucksack, and oh, there's a little pack back there, oh, there's some old socks, that emotional things do come back up, and I'm like, wait a minute, where did this come from? I don't know why I'm feeling this, but this, and instead of a month-long, half a day,
Right.
deal with it, let it go, let it go, and move on. And it just flows, and it's just, but things do come up. The mud does come up, and it just washes
It's just
clean.
mud. It's not gonna hurt you. Just mud, what?
I was just gonna say that all aspects are a spirit,
Right? Spiritual mud.
all of it, and he's
Spiritual mud treatments.
Any other questions on lesson 5 before we close? Tom?
To me, the whole thing is about having an attachment. The minute you have an attachment, you're back in the wheel of drama. If you didn't put your energy into one person, like my wife has to love me, my brother has to love me, money has to come from here, not there, you wouldn't be angry. It's that cultural thing that like, well, now we're married, you gotta love me thing, or any version of that. where you have to get it at this one source.
That's why it's so important to realize that everything is coming from inside and not outside. And you're right, whenever we become focused on getting something from the outside, then it brings up a lot of expectations that sooner or later aren't going to be realized because we didn't plant it, we didn't put it, we're robbing somebody else's garden, so to speak, and that's going to peter out eventually, unless we keep planting our own life. That's why being a taker doesn't work. If you're just in life to see what you can get from people, gimme, 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 it's going to deplete you instead of enrich you. The way to get filled up in life is to give it out, like Jimmy Carter building a habitat home when they told him he only had, weeks left to live. He said, well, I hope I can get this home finished. that fills you up to give it out. It's like if you just don't exhale. You take a deep breath, don't let it out. It doesn't work. The best way to breathe, I've been told, is to breathe deeply, to let out as much air as you can, and then breathe in deeply and fill your lungs up. The worst way to breathe is
Except when you're in labor.
I was gonna say,
that's a lot of people breathe that way. They just stop breathing. I get people in my office, breathe. Oh, yeah. So, take out what you're gonna give. Put it in your hands. And what I know is that we give from our fullness, we give from our clarity, we give from our sense of self. We know that we plant our life, that we are full, filled to overflowing with all of the blessings of life that include money. Lots and lots and lots of money. And so we give from that fullness, and we know that that consciousness of fullness goes out into our life, is multiplied and comes back to us. Right here and right now, we really focus on the idea that we are precious. We are perfect spiritual beings. We deserve to experience this life fully. All of the colors, all of the tastes, all of the touches, all of the sights, they are all for us. And we get to experience that. And if money is our means of exchange, we get to have more than enough money to do whatever it is we choose to do. This life is a gift, and it was given completely and fully, and we accept it fully and completely. So we don't have to know how it's going to happen. We just set spiritual law in motion and know that God has ways of giving us money that we've never even dreamed of yet. We know that we deserve to be rich and blessed in this life. And as we let this money go, we know that spiritual law takes it, multiplies it, and returns it back to us. We are the creators of our world. We are the masters of our destiny. We determine our good, and so we open up wide to accept all that life has for us. I know that each one of us comes together this night to make this Center for Spiritual Living Asheville all that it was ever meant to be. It is a place of peace, a beacon of light, a tower of strength, and a fountain of wisdom that touches the lives of all who call it home. And so it is.
so it is.
Let's wait till after. Let's wait till after. Let's hold the energy. Hold the energy. Because we are creating. We are setting creative law in motion. There's no difference between every billionaire and us. There's no difference from everyone who has ever had their lives transformed and us. There is no difference because we are all one. So I claim for each and every one of us a life that is rich beyond measure, a life of health and happiness and wholeness, a life of love and joy and success. That is our divine birthright. That is ours now. I know that that blessing came with our gifts, filling up this room from the floor to the ceiling and all between the walls. I know that Spirit touches every one of us, blesses us, heals us, fills up this room, goes on out around the planet to wake people up to who we are, what's really going on in life. Always here, always now, blessing every one of us here tonight, everyone who's ever been here and everyone yet to come, and so it is.
Hi, thank you for joining us for this class this evening, or whatever time of day you may be watching it. And I know that something wonderful has come from that class for you. And if you're still watching, perhaps a reminder that Center for Spiritual Living actually exists based on the gratitude and the generosity of people who join us for these classes and for our Sunday celebrations. And if you are so inclined and would like to make a gift to the center, all you have to do is push the donate button, follow the prompts, and you can do that very thing. And I find and love to tell people that the truth about giving is that giving does a number of things. One is that it solidifies that learning process, saying something of value was given here and I'm willing to make an exchange for it. And so knowing that if you are able to do that, that you are joining and supporting the center, I will say thank you. And with that, have a fantastic week and we'll see you again soon.